All right, joining us to shed more light on what to expect from the ongoing discussions of the ECOWAS heads of state in Abuja is our diplomatic editor, Shola Jaisimi, who joins me. Shola, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me here on the news.
All right, first of all, let me ask, I mean, it was only just before the meeting ended that I realized that it was actually taking place at the presidential villa and not at the traditional ECOWAS headquarters here in Abuja. I mean, is that of any significance or?
Well, for a long time now, in the last 6-7 years, the meeting of ECOWAS, if hosted by Nigeria, has held at the Aso Rock Villa. Like you said, it used to be at the ECOWAS sector, but probably due to security reasons, the heads of state are asked to converge on the State House here in Abuja. Especially when, since President Bola Tinubu also took over, he continued in that tradition. So that's the venue. As we speak now, our State House correspondent, Ewese Ogono, has just shared with me before we just commenced the news that the summit is on a short break and it will reconvene shortly. And like you said, the issues, that's the reason why they are here, because this meeting, the notice was quite short. It was less than 48 hours when the ECOWAS Commission put out the statement that the leaders of the region will converge on Abuja. Now they are here, they are having their talks. We don't have snippets so far of what they have spoken about, but in the last report you just read, issues around governance and democracy. 4 West African countries, members of the ECOWAS, are run by juntas, and the ECOWAS had, spoken to those respective leaders. I'm talking about the leader, military leader of Guinea, that's Lieutenant Colonel Amadou Doumbouya, that of Mali, Colonel Assimi Goïta, Burkina Faso's Captain Traoré, and the last coup that occurred, General Chani of Niger Republic. All these leaders have been told, look, you took over the country, you deposed constitutional authority, get back to that with different timelines. So those timelines have not been met or stuck to by those heads of juntas, but each and every one of them have said, we will run our country as we want. And the fallout is this. 3 of them said they're pulling out of ECOWAS. They gave a 1-year notice which will expire at the end of January next year. ECOWAS doesn't want this to happen. ECOWAS brought a former founding leader who was Nigeria's military head of state about 51 years ago. I'm talking about General Gawan, who spoke to the world on Wednesday that this bloc must not be allowed to disintegrate. And a few hours later, ECOWAS leaders say they are meeting. What did he ask for? General Gawan said, look, lift the sanctions on these countries so that they can get their, quote, groove back, and whatever you need to do politically, follow through. So I have a strong feeling that when this meeting ends, the sanctions will be lifted.
And do you really think that the Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger will be moved by whether the sanctions are lifted or not?
That's another key component because, like you know, 3 of these countries have aligned with Russia. Russia has its stance. Russia wants to increase its flow of influence in West Africa. And not a few of them, they've kicked out France. At least 2 of the countries kicked out France. France is still present in Guinea. But in Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, the French embassy has been closed. So we can see a movement in terms of geopolitical alignment. That's what's happening. Whether this impended or proposed move, whether the ECOWAS leaders will lift the sanctions and it will have a multiplier effect on the junta is what we will see in the days ahead.
Okay, so what else do we expect to top the agenda in this extraordinary summit?
Well, I was suspecting that the issue in Senegal, we've spoken about it, you read about it, President Macky Sall is at this meeting. He's been having what we call, what I would call issues around his purported continued stay in office. In December, he addressed his country and said, look, I don't have the plans to do a 3rd term. I don't want to do that. It's not in my plans. But he didn't allow the elections which were to have held tomorrow to hold. He suspended it. Chaos broke out. Not less than 3 persons were killed in different parts of Senegal. And eventually he said, okay, a constitutional court ruled. Constitutional court said that your move was illegal, though a section of the parliament agreed with him. So the date has not been said, but he has told the world that I will leave office on the 2nd of April when my term ends. And this follows because what some of the military junta leaders have said is that when we take over, you cry blue murder. But when civilians elongate their tenure, you ECOWAS leaders find a way of patching things up. And they've pointed in the direction of Alassane Ouattara of Côte d'Ivoire, who is on the 3rd term, and the president of Togo, Faure Gnassingbe, who is targeting a sixth term, if you permit me to say that. He's been there since 2005. So these are issues that they all look at and they say there's hypocrisy in ECOWAS.
Okay, what else?
Well, we expect the decisions. We will flow with them. And once
Because, President Tinubu met with ECOWAS judges the other day, and there were talks about need for judicial reforms in the sub-region. Reckon that should be part of what they're going to be talking about today.
Probably they will stamp the proposals put forward by the ECOWAS chief judges, led by Nigeria's Justice Ariwola. And if they stamp it, ECOWAS Community Court of Justice moves from being an advisory, because its judgments are not binding on any country. The judicial systems of each country in West Africa is, quote, superior to that of the ECOWAS court. So they're trying to see how that can have an impact, whereby an ECOWAS court gives a ruling similar to what a European Court of Justice can do, and concerned authorities in those countries have to follow.
Okay, Sean, I think we'll just leave it like that for now. Let's keep our eyes and ears glued to what's happening here in Abuja.
Thank you.
We're speaking with our diplomatic editor, Shola Jaisibi, trying to give us some insight on the heads of state meeting from ECOWAS, which is holding here in the Nigeria capital. Shola, once again, thanks a lot.